So I'm here with a wee what this week, which is where I talk about what I've been reading, listening to, watching, and anything else that's been going on. I'm going to try and make it wee because I just last week posted the most enormous vlog, and so I'm feeling the need to share something a little bit shorter and easily digestible this week for you. So I'm just going to catch a little bit of what I'm reading at the moment and whatever else takes my fancy. So what I've recently finished is Follow Me to Ground by Sue Rainsford. So the reason that I'm sharing this with you is, well, partly because it hasn't featured in a vlog or anything anywhere, so I won't talk about it anywhere else on YouTube, but also because the reason that I read this was because one of my friends, I've said because so many times just then, my friend is having her birthday this weekend, and for her kind of like birthday celebrations she's having a book club. So she's invited a group of guests for some gin tasting, amazing, and dinner at her house and a book club, and she's said what book that we're going to be reading and we're going to discuss it together at her birthday bash. What a brilliant idea is that? It's absolutely genius, getting people together to do a book club for your birthday. I love this idea, I love it so much. Yeah, so I read this recently. It's only wee, but I really enjoyed it. It was quite, it's not about witches, but it was kind of witchy in a sense. It's about a father-daughter who live in a remote cottage, and people in the local area visit them for healing. It's really vague in its setting in terms of place and time. Place, I imagined it to be like the deep south of America. I don't think we're ever told where it's actually set, in a house in a wood apparently, according to the blurb. And in terms of time, it felt very oldie worldy, but people were driving trucks, so I envisaged it to be sort of 1920s, 1930s perhaps. So we know that Ada and her father are not human, but they're also not the same something. Her father has this kind of like animalistic quality, and we know that he made her from the ground. The ground is an area in their garden where kind of like does a lot of healing for them. So when people, which they call cures, come to their house for healing for something, they do a bit of it, but then they also bury them and the ground does the rest and gets people all better, and then they unbury them and they're right as rain. So this is about Ada and her dad and the community that they live in, and Ada develops a relationship with one of the local men, and it's about that basically. I thought it was really fun. It was very immersive. It was really interesting. It was kind of like dark and mysterious and kind of like nature icky without being gross. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would recommend this book, and it was a super easy quick read. Really enjoyed that and can't wait to talk about it at the weekend at my friend's birthday party. Genius. The other books that I'm reading at the moment are Shark Heart by Emily Habeck. I have struck gold this month because the two in-person book clubs that I go to are both reading books that I've chosen. So this is one, Shark Heart, and the other is Glorious Exploits, which I haven't started yet. But this is lovely, so lovely. I think I can remember Lydia from Lydia Lost the Plot, maybe? No. I'm sure I've seen people talk about this book and talk about how wonderful it is, and I can totally see why. I'm not loads of the way through, but it's written in vignettes, so it's a super quick read. Now I know what you're thinking, Kerry, you don't like vignettes, but somehow it's working, and it's not linear. Maybe I just don't like badly written vignettes. I think the thing that bothers me about kind of like very short chapters or vignettes or split timelines or anything like that, when I'm having to expend energy trying to work out where and when I am in a story, but this is doing, when this switches between, literally in the first sentence it's telling you not in a laboured way, where you are, so you know exactly where you are in the story situated, and I'm appreciating that, so I'm not having to kind of like be distracted about working out where and when I am. Yeah, this is really working for me. It's very heartfelt, to the point where it might be a bit much, because like I said, we're literally I'm this far through, not very far at all, and it's already very heart-wrenching. I'm not sure how I'll feel about it if that continues all the way through. I like there to be emotional light and shade. I'm gonna need a bit of light with my shade for this to be a real heavy hitter, but it's giving me the feels, and I'm really enjoying the writing. I haven't told you what this is about. This is a speculative fiction about a husband and wife, and they're fairly newlywed, and the husband gets a diagnosis whereby he has a mutation, a degenerative, life-limiting mutation, where he is slowly turning into a great white shark. So I think it's like allegory for things like dementia and other diseases that affect the brain and have that sense of taking loved ones from you as they get worse. I think that's what I'm taking from it so far. But yeah, it's really, really wonderful. I'm very happy to be reading it. And whilst it looks chunky, it's a super quick read because of the vignettes. And the other book that I am reading currently is Remember Remember by Elle Machray. Now, having just done a wee kind of like flick through the introduction and the, I'm not very far through this by the way, and the author description in preparation for this video, I discovered the most fantastic thing. Elle Machray is a Welsh author! Ah! I had no idea. She was born in Cardiff, and what does it say? She is... Grew up in Birmingham, born in Cardiff, grew up in Birmingham with Welsh, Caribbean and Scottish parents. How cool is that? Yay! It doesn't say that she identifies as Welsh herself, but born in Cardiff, we'll take it. So Remember Remember is set in the 1700s, and it's about 4 generations after the gunpowder treason plot. I was going to say gunpowder fiction and plot. No, that's Scottish Channel. After kind of Remember Remember, the 5th of November, after which the book is named. It's based on the story of a chap called James Somerset, who was a real life person. And he was an enslaved man in London, and he was set to be transported from London to a Caribbean plantation. He refused and took his case to court, and he won. And that rebellion marked the beginning of the end of the transatlantic slave trade, which is very cool. So that's a real life thing. This is a fictionalised story based around that, and it's really, really great so far. So we're following Delphine and her brother, who is the character based on James Somerset. Yeah, so I'm having a good time with this too. How exciting. I'm having such a great reading month so far. Okay, on to what I've been watching. Not necessarily this week, but recent things that I've watched that I wanted to make sure I told you about. I went to the cinema and watched Sinners. If you haven't seen that, please go and watch it. It is a riot. It's such a great film. So it's a vampire Southern Gothic. It was full of really beautiful cinematography. It had amazing music, and I listened to the soundtrack a few times after watching it, which is always a good sign, isn't it? And it was brilliantly starred, brilliantly acted. It's a really fun plot. So if you're into vampires at all, I really recommend you catching up with Sinners if you haven't already. The other thing that we've been watching and are up to date with now is The Last of Us. I'm not sure if I've talked about The Last of Us on here, and I'm so slow to the party here because we didn't start watching it until season 2 was out, and then we went back and watched season 1. It's the joy of Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. It's sort of zombie-ish, but not quite. So it's mushrooms that take over people and sort of reanimate them as corpses. but that plays quite a marginal part in the story. The story is very much their relationship, and that's what makes it so brilliant. So I have had several significant emotional traumas watching that. The second season I think did something really, really clever, and I'm not going to give spoilers, but Bella Ramsey's character and Pedro Pascal's character they're not father-daughter, but it's that sort of dynamic. At the start of season 2 they've obviously had a fallout, and you can, knowing what happened in season 1, you can guess what that's based on, but you don't actually get to see the fallout. A few episodes in, something really significant happens, and then you see some of the aftermath of that, but then there's an episode that kind of cuts back to that bit in between season 1 and season 2, when sort of before, during and after their fallout. And oh my god, it was so incredibly emotional, because you'd had like a few episodes of things being like quite action filled, and then to have this really quiet episode that was just like really shining a spotlight on their relationship, and oh, it was so emotionally devastating. Like I literally sobbed the whole way through it. I was not ready for that. And then it went back to kind of like present day and got back into the more kind of action side of the storyline, but it's so good. It's really, really wonderful. I understand it was a video game first, and not being a gamer, I didn't know that or have any inkling of what was coming for me. Yeah, so that was The Last of Us. That was really wonderful. We enjoyed that very much. I have also, on the recommendation of a friend in work, started watching I Kissed a Boy. It's you can judge me, it's okay, judge me. It's a reality TV show that's a bit like Love Island but for queers. So I didn't mean to, because she'd been on and on about it, like this new series has started and Married at First Sight had finished. You know, if we wanted something trashy to kind of like gossip about in the office, then that could be another good option. And I didn't mean to go back to the first season, but that's what happened. And then within a couple of days I binged the whole thing. Like the whole first season. I've stopped myself from watching anymore. But it's a sort of Love Island for gays, the first season, and oh, it's so wholesome. It's not as icky and gross as, not quite as icky and gross as Love Island OG. It's just really lovely. They're just nice boys having a really fun time in a really safe space. Oh, it was such a joy to watch. I wasn't expecting it to be so nostalgic either, because some of my favourite years of working in boarding schools was looking after boys, and yeah, some of the chats and the silliness, you know, really took me back to that time. It was just lush. And even when they fall out and argue and stuff, they hold each other accountable and kind of really kindly call each other out and apologise and take responsibility when they've made a mistake. It's so wholesome. It's really, really great. It's on BBC. That's where I found it anyway. So that's I Kissed a Boy. I think the next season is hosted by Danny Minogue too, which is a joy. I think the next season is Girls. But as I say, I've had to wait so that I'm not kind of like obsessively binging. We're going to take a wee pause and come back to that. And the other thing in terms of watching is tonight I'm going to see The Salt Path. I loved the book The Salt Path, less so the subsequent books, but I really did enjoy The Salt Path by Raina Wynn, and that has been made into a film starring Gillian McKeith. No, what's my Gillian McKeith? Can you imagine? You are what you eat. No. Starring Gillian Anderson. I've just got visions of Gillian McKeith doing The X-Files and Sex Education. Oh dear God. The perimenopause has got me good. So I'm going to watch The Salt Bath tonight, starring Gillian Anderson. And I'm very much looking forward to that. So perhaps if we do another one of these shortly, I will let you know what I think of it. On that note, I have been filming a couple of vlogs in the background. So as you will have seen, I filmed a reading vlog for Misery May, and I'm sorry that was so long. Like, hands up, I probably wouldn't watch a vlog that was over an hour long. So if you are one of the lovely people who have watched that, I am so grateful for your time, and I'm sorry it turned out so long. But I really did have a great time reading those books, and I got to go to Hay Festival, which is featured in there too, which is really lovely. So yeah, Misery May reading vlog, if you have a spare hour. Your time is precious. Yeah, please don't waste it on me. But if you like long reading vlogs, then there it is. It's out there. And the other thing I've been filming in the background is another reading vlog reading some Booktubers' favourites, and that's still ongoing. I have one more book to read for that, and that may be out next week or not. We'll see. In terms of Booktube stuff that I've been watching, there's a few things that I've discovered recently which I wanted to share with you. First is I met a friend of a friend who has a YouTube channel called, I'll obviously link this down in the description, La Casa Forestal. So Mabel is an artist, or actually, if we're going to be authentic, Mabel is an artist, and she takes a book and opens it on a random page, or finds a random page, and then illustrates or draws inspiration from what she's read there. And she's got a few videos up on her channel where she's doing exactly that, and they are the most wholesome, relaxing way to spend like 10 minutes. They're really short, but if you want a little decompress in your day, I cannot recommend them enough. They're so beautiful. She's done The Secret History and The Hobbit and a couple of others. It was so wonderful. Please go and check out Mabel's channel. The other thing that I watched over the weekend, which I absolutely loved, was Candy at the Great Literary Rabbit Hole did a video where she was like looking for Hamnet. So she lives close by to where Hamnet is set, and so she talks us through the book, Maggie O'Farrell's Hamnet, whilst exploring the places where the book is actually set. It was so cool. I loved reliving the book with her. Her voice is so soothing and comforting. It was so interesting to see all of the different locations where the book is set, and those characters that the book is based on really lived. And yeah, it was kind of like moving and inspirational, and it was just the most wonderful way to spend a bit of time on Booktube. So if you haven't seen that yet, do go and check out Candy's video. I think there are some spoilers in there, so if you haven't read Hamnet, do that first, and you should, because it's a wonderful book. But yeah, such a great video and so creative. I absolutely loved it. In terms of other things that are going on at the moment that I feel the need to share with you. One very exciting thing happening at the moment is that some of my flowers that I grew from seed are starting to grow. I planted some sweet peas and some cosmos and some few other bits and pieces, and I have a cosmos flower. This is very exciting for this simpleton gardener. But the reason I wanted to tell you that is because we have historically had horrendous problems with slugs. We have had many a battle with slugs, most of which have failed, and we've tried all sorts of stuff. So we've got dogs, so I won't use like chemical slug pellets, but we've tried the wool ones, we've tried copper tape, we've tried eggshells, we've tried all sorts of stuff, and have fought a losing battle. And often with my herbs and, you know, years of growing sweet peas, they can be decimated overnight. So this year I have used whelk shells. So there's an a company called Shell on Earth, which recycle whelk shells and kind of crush them up for you, put them in a bag, and you can order a great big bag to put out in your garden. And touch wood, no slugs have touched my brand new plants. We've won. We have won the war. I have to say, the most effective slug killer has been my partner with a head torch and something stabby. But the whelk shells seem to have worked. That's kept them off my new plants, so I am delighted. So Shell on Earth is the company that sell those. If you are a gardener and have issues with slugs, I can highly recommend them. And last but not least, something rather significant in my life has been going on for some time now, and I haven't talked about it on the channel, and I feel that now is the time to kind of like bring you in. And that is that in work for the last few weeks we have been holding a World Cup of biscuits. So we decided on a few staples that absolutely had to be included, you know, things like bourbons and custard creams. And then we each got to nominate 3 favourite biscuits to put forward for the World Cup of biscuits. My biscuits were fig rolls, Choco Leibniz and party rings. I'm sorry if this makes no sense if you're not in this country. I have no idea how many of these biscuits exist outside of the UK. But it's been so much fun. So each week we've pit a biscuit, like a pair of biscuits against each other. We've just got to the start of the second rounds, and yeah, it's been really telling. We take a vote each week about which one kind of qualifies and goes through to the next round, but it's been really interesting. And so I have, as part of my job, I have supervision with one of the staff counsellors, and we've talked about it a couple of times, and she's really like, oh, so interesting, like tell me what everybody chose. And like my choices, she's like, they're all very eclectic, aren't they? Like a friend was like, so inclusive, Kerry, in your biscuit selections. But yes, it's really interesting what you can read into about people. The other thing that we've learned about each other is like there's a couple of us who think we know what our favourite is going to be, but then like given a fair kind of shop comparison, I can be surprised by finding that what we thought was going to be our favourite wasn't. There's one person in the office that's like, no, I know before I have them, I know what my favourite is going to be, and I'm right every time. It's just so interesting what you can learn about other people, and the things that have been like most controversial, like fig rolls being included at all, you know, they were very nearly vetoed as not being a biscuit. Last week our round was party rings versus ginger crunch creams, and whilst the ginger crunch cream is a delightful biscuit, the party rings qualified because of the nostalgia associated with them. And yeah, our senior manager was absolutely outraged. But she has young children, and so I feel like, yeah, it wasn't a novelty for her, but for the rest of us, having a party ring really was. But yeah, nostalgia plays a really big part in what people enjoy about biscuits. Anyway, I would love to know if you had to nominate like 3 top biscuits to be entered into a World Cup of biscuits, which 3 would you choose? I would love to know this. Do pop that in the comments. And on that slightly unhinged note, I'm going to leave you to the rest of your day, so that we avoid any danger of this being another hour-long video. If you haven't already done so today, I invite you to take the longest, deepest breath you have done in ages. I hope you're looking after yourself, and I will see you again in the next video.